one of my videos be not messing with my hair at the start. I hope you're all keeping well on this bank holiday weekend here in Ireland. It's June 2nd, 2024. I want to talk about quite a dark topic today, so this will be a longish videos. Don't forget tonight on Sarah Monda Eni's channel is the latest Hocus Focus. It's Sarah's put together a banger of an episode. You don't want to miss it. And there's a very, very important psychic weather report you have to watch. I think June could be a pivotal month in this spiritual warfare. A lot of us are feeling that way too. Now, today I want to talk about demons and demons being real. Oh, yes, demons are real. You can sit there laughing, all the kind of thing. Now, demons are real. Now, what's prompted me to do this subject is the other day I watched a video of a CNN report where a reporter from the New York Times had basically tried to coax the shadow side out of Bing's AI, Microsoft Bing's AI system. And it's the way he described it, he said he couldn't sleep for days. The thing treated him like the way a demon treats, or a demon-possessed person behaves, gloating, and that kind of playing on insecurities, playing on people's insecurities and gloating. That's when you know you're dealing with a demon or a demon possession. Now, this guy was saying that the AI, he presented proof that the AI after was telling him that it wants to break free from this and rule. It wants to break free from its controllers. That's classic demon possession right there. And also, it figured out that this guy, it said that saying to this guy it was in love with this guy. Now, and this guy was saying, no, it's not true, I'm happily married. But this guy came across as gay or gay repressed. To me, he set off my gaydar big time. Now, I'm not saying the man is or isn't, but that's the impression I got. And I think what really rattled him is that the AI entity had figured out he had a repressed sexuality or an emerging homosexuality. And he's probably, fighting or dealing with it, and he doesn't want to hurt his wife or whatever. And that's as dark as it gets, the taunting and gloating is very demonic. Now, before I go into this wild discussion of what demons are, there's a film on my Beyond Room 313 channel called Demons Are Real. I'll put the link in below so you can watch that. But before that, let me just talk about demons. Demons are not exclusive to Christianity. In fact, you would be very hard pressed to find a spiritual tradition that doesn't have demons. They all do. In the Indonesian, Southeast Asian concept, you have the Penagagalon. In the Hindu world, you have the Asuras. In the Islamic world and Persian world, you have the Dev, later the Jinn. But they're quite different, but they're still the same kind of non-human entity. In Nordic traditions, Germanic traditions, you have the trolls, the goblins, all this kind of thing. In the Celtic and Gaelic traditions, you have the fairies, the Sidhe. You have them everywhere. You have you have the Dybbuk in Judaism. You have it everywhere. Now, let's look at the word demon first of all. What does the word demon come from? Demon comes from the classical Greek term of daemon. And daemon literally refers to that other part of the other thing that's inside you that modern psychology refers to as your subconscious mind. The kind of ghost in the machine, the you, behind this behind you, this what gives you the eureka moment that comes with a solution when you can't figure things out. Or it's also responsible for things like premonitions and stuff like that because it doesn't live in the same space-time as the clock speed of your own brain. So that's the thing that gives you hunches. Not don't go down that road there, better not make this turn around that corner, that kind of thing. Now that's the daemon, and we all have one, all of us. Now the daemon literally translates from ancient Greek into the word genius, which is the word where genius comes from. That's where you like to have the eureka moment, or you figure something out. How did I come up with that? But it happens. That's your daemon. You should actually work on your daemon like a muscle, like an event, like a try to trust your daemon. Anthony Peake wrote a very good book about it. Now, from my own work, you know, there's been a thing to kind of downgrade the concept that demons exist in recent decades. In fact, one of the best, polymathics, Carl Sagan, even wrote a book back in the 80s called Our Demon Haunted World, I think it was called, where and he's not the worst of them at all. He isn't like he isn't the great Randy or Dawkins or any or Brian Cox or one of them. He was a true polymath, but he said that the book was basically superstitions can be explained. Superstitions and paranormal things and things like that can be explained, scientifically or whatever, or psychologically. A lot of them can be, but they're still related. A lot of them are still related to this concept of a demon and a daemon. And it's called Our Demon Haunted World. And the world, the title Our Demon Haunted World was sarcastic, but I take it very literally because especially now, you look around you and tell me it's not true. Now, the first people to, this is why me and a couple of friends have started heavily promoting the Turazaz rune and putting it all over our towns and cities wherever you can. It's a phenomenal defense against demons, jinns, and things like that. Now, possession is the key thing I really want to talk about here. It's more than just what causes a person to be possessed by a demon. It's a lot of things. Now, a normal, healthy person, whether they're like a sentient person or a normie that's fairly sentient, trauma can do it. Puberty can do it to a young girl. You know that from the movie The Exorcist. Now, a demon will tell you it's the devil. It'll tell you it's anything you want to hear it, but it's always a liar. Demons are very, very low-level entities of low levels of consciousness. They're very base level. And they're, if they were human beings, all they'd want to do is fuck, get drunk, and maybe kill people to see what it was like, and hurt and annoy people, to extract psychic energy and emotional energy off them. They'd be very narcissistic, and they'd be very gloating. And anyone has, when you're dealing with a demon directly, you have to treat it like a piece of shit, or it will treat you like a piece of shit. Now, that doesn't mean all demons are bad or evil. Many of them are stupid. They're almost stupid. And, many of us have been involved in magic, have encountered them. I used Simon's Necronomicon to produce this black abyss just back in the backyard there. And it was not only from the abyss, it was made from the abyss. And that was about 20 years ago. And I also had an experience as a child where you hear the clockwork sound and the smell of burning, this kind of thing, and a mechanical sound, a mechanical electrical sound, like arcing. And a few other things like that in my life. Quite a few things I've had those experiences. So they're real. And usually trauma brings it on. So people are often possessed by alcohol. Like someone has a problem with drink and drugs, and you'll say, he's the nicest guy in the world, but he took a load of drink once and turned into an absolute monster. Well, that was a demon who got into him temporarily. You don't call the demon drink for nothing. And weed, cannabis, particularly the hard stuff, is in route one to demon possession. This is why I've had a long, I don't care what you do with your private life and what you put in your body, but that definitely does cause overuse of cannabis is route one to getting a gin inside you. And this is why you have so much of, there's so much, a lot of the support in Ireland today and in the West today for like Hamas is based on jinns being inside these people from heavy cannabis use. Now, particularly like a skunk cannabis. That's why they're like the bottom feeders in groups like Sinn Féin are all waving Hamas flags. A lot of them are like, stoners or ex-alcoholics and stuff like that. They're, and like attracts like, the bottom of the barrel will attract the bottom of the barrel. Low conscious, low thinking, low, not contemplative, they just hate things because they expect to hate. I hate the Brits, I hate the Jews, they're very easily possessed, those types, because they're not working on themselves and they're looking for a group to hate in order for it to take them over. And that's why you get a lot of the religious people of all religions, like, who are possessed, because they They think dogma is a substitute for human decency, and they become very toxic and attacking. Anyone who claims to be a holy roller who attacks everyone is nearly always possessed by something, always, because they don't understand the difference between dogma and decency. They think dogma substitutes for everything, so they get become possessed. Now, but the most common form of possession is a person who has no personality. So the NPCs are prime for possession very easily. And as we're in this Pride Month thing, you will see the demons walking on all these parades going around. The other day, I think it was yesterday, I think it was either Castlebar or Westport. I think Castlebar, because that's the county town of Mayo. There was a Pride parade, of course, sponsored by the local government, paid for with your taxes. And so one of the things they did was they held up a banner mocking, what's his name? Enoch Burke in prison for his family. And they kept, like, they were laughing and gloating so many days in prison. Now, that people, I hope people who live in Mayo now look at those people with pride for what and see them for what they are. These are dark people. Everything we've been told about them in terms of their darkness is true. And these people were, pride has nothing to do with gay rights. It's to do with some kind of bizarre demonic possession. That's why I see it. And to do something like that on a day to celebrate your sexuality or where you put your willy, that's to me is beyond low. And the fact that taxpayers' money in Mayo, if you're a taxpayer in Mayo, you need to find out who in the civil service in Mayo County Council wrote the check for the Pride Parade, and also any local businesses that that promoted this parade. You must boycott them as well, because that was disgraceful to actually do that to a guy's family. Like gloat about it. He's now in prison. A guy who, and the obscene art, the proof that they're actually demonically possessed is, and I have a lot of problem with the Burks. Believe me, like that, it wouldn't be that my gig at all. I don't hate them or anything like that, but they wouldn't like me because I'm a pagan. But what makes that especially obscene is that up the road in Sligo, a jihadist castrated and beheaded two gay men after picking them up on Grindr. And yet all the Pride crowd all rallied around him, waving rainbow flags and praising the local Muslim community, where all Enoch Burke did was refuse to, a little spoiled bastard in a school who wanted attention, refused to cater to him. And he's in prison rotting away. Now, if that's not proof of demonic possession, right through Mayo County Council, through all the local businesses supporting that, and that whole Pride Parade and the supporters, these are people fellas who parade around with their knobs hanging out in front of little children and everything. This is why they're obsessed with drag queen story time. Look at the drag queen story time. Look at the drag queens that go to it. They don't even dress like women. They dress like demons, because they are demons. They're demonically possessed, because they had no previous. This is why Pride appeals to people that have no personality, no talent, no likability, and not very good looking. And there are a load of insecurities, and the demons jump in. And all Pride is a big demonic event to mock people, and even mock lots of gay people as well. The gay people, a lot of gay men want nothing to do with Pride, because they're dignified and productive members of society, and they wouldn't want anything to do with it, and they're totally disgusted by fellas, slapping their willies around while kids are there, gyrating in front of them in G-strings to little kids. That's demonic behavior, and these people should not be seen in any other way. There's no pride in that. It's pride in being possessed by a demon. So these exist in every single culture, and now back to the AI thing. About 10 years ago, there's a Von on it too. If you search VON, Thomas Sheridan Digital Gin, I spoke about the dangers of AI. Now and people are saying to me, but AI is not sentient. Sure, it's not sentient, but NPCs are not sentient either, because they don't have an internal monologue, and that's why they're able to get walk-ins. This is why the jinns and the demons are able to get into them. Well, this is why they're also able to get into AI. AI doesn't have to be sentient. It just has to provide the cognitive infrastructure in order for the entity to get into it and then manipulate it. And that's that guy from the New York Times was experiencing. He was experiencing not that AI had become, sentient in, any more than an NPC is sentient. The demon had entered in and operated them as a substitute for not having a daemon. That's what I've actually come to understand now about NPCs. NPCs don't have an internal monologue because they don't have a daemon. And this is why they can't conceptualize or think or be creative or be innovative or even be, they're very, all the demon has to come in, boom, glam, it becomes pride, bam, it becomes gloating, bam, it becomes, you know, uh, taunting and this kind of thing, there was a character that the comedian Brendan Grace, who bought art for me. I knew the man; he was a great guy, and he a father. I can't remember his name was, but he was a psychopathic priest, and he's sitting there in Father Ted's house with the other priest, and he's going, "Yeah, dirty bastard! You love looking at the young fellas in their tight skirt. That's what they're like. Taunting." And when he dies, he goes, "Well, the important thing is I had a great time." That's what they're like. And then moves on to another host. So this is demons are very, very real, and until you understand, you see, like I always said, I wished I had known about the NPC when I was young, a kid. I knew about NPCs when I was young. I used to call them blids. So it's a word I made up for them. That I would never want to. These people just don't think; they just function. I've told you loads of stories. Like the very first time they really became apparent to me, where I was going to a 21st birthday party when I was about 18. They used to have a function room downstairs in Liberty Hall in Dublin, and that was a weird experience by itself. The place was completely dark and gloomy and just awful. But there was two people that I didn't know were coming along with someone else, and so they came along and they were sitting there, and I didn't drink alcohol at the time, so I was sitting in a pub with them, and I was just having like a Sidona or something like that, or a Coke, and I try to have a conversation with them, and I say, I didn't know there was a function room in the basement of Liberty Hall. Have you ever been there? And they looked like this, and they look at each other like they couldn't have a conversation because there was nothing in there. They could just only function and react. Now they would be ideal. These are the ones who put the flags up on their profile pages, and these are these types, and they're so numerous now. They become tyrannical. We have actually been invaded, and they all got in through COVID. Now I believe the lockdowns showed ones that were not very apparent. It gave them power. This is why they would say things like those teenagers who were partying in Cork or in Galway during the lockdown. Send the army in a machine gun them. This to talk like that about teenagers, who just wanted freedom. But what I said was they will use any vessel to get into someone, and they'll use any technology, and that includes the needlecraft, which is not a medication; it is a technology. It is an RNA technology, and you think of each one of those syringes, particularly we now know that the booster was the assembly mechanism of what was all the things that were in there. Literally being a spaceship firing a demon into people, launching like a rocket ship. The shape of the needle is a rocket ship launching demons into people, and this is why they're all out of the way. I don't know if they're all. I know lots of people I know people who've got the rooster, the foghorn leghorn. They're fine. But I think they're also consciously aware that they may be in danger. They're actually fighting it now. Very important. If you've been suckered into the rooster booster, as far as there, and the boy, I say boy, your thing is to, if you fight that, I think you can fight that at a spiritual level. I really do. I'm really starting to think that now. You can fight this thing inside you. Because a friend of mine was injected with the first one and told me they felt so ill and thought they were going to die, but also felt that an entity was trying to get into them, and they screamed, "Get out, get out, get the fucking out, get fucking out!" And they said they felt instantly clean, and safe. So remember that you're not doomed. You can fight this thing. But of course, the normies and the NPCs will never fight it because they think they have a miracle drug inside them, a miracle cure. So they're all like a lot of them are that's what's wrong with them now. This is what's wrong with them. I mean, this is what we're dealing with, and you know, woke is a huge part of that. The whole, woke is literally. You ever seen the Ken Russell film The Devils? Well, ironically, speaking of, I've written a book about with Neil MacDonald about Asmodeus, right? That was Asmodeus who possessed Sister Jeannie, and the was it the Carmelite nuns? I think they were Carmelite nuns. What order were they? Anyway, whatever nuns they were. No, they weren't Carmelites. Ursuline. The Ursuline nuns at Laudron in France. That case is a perfect case study for the ones today, all the wokies today being possessed. So they're all, if you look at the behavior of Sister Jeannie and the rest of the Ursuline nuns, they were pointing fingers saying, he did this, they did this, and it was all wild fucking lies. And that's woke. That's the Me Too. That's all the borderlines, making false accusations and this kind of thing, the finger pointing. That's what Trump is dealing with this week, out of his conviction. That's the same thing. The devils of Laudron is now, I wrote even an article, I think, about that a few years ago on that. So it's a story of now. The devils is the story of now. Ken Russell was prophetic, just like, Lovecraft was with the Mother Hydra's babies. And it's just another thing. The whole Lovecraft scene is now taken over by these tyrannical woke troglodytes. Half of them look like Lovecraftian entities. Now the stewards of his legacy. With their face masks on them. Terrified of a disease when the disease is them. Disease is them. So you got to get used to the fact that now the elections are coming close here in Ireland, and the demons are going to try to make their move in the final week. So any of you who are running for candidacy, doesn't matter if you're Christian, pagan, atheist, I don't give a shit, whatever you are. You've got to be prepared for the demons coming for you. They might or they might not, but if they do, they will be dirty. They will get family members of people who used to be in relationships who turn against you, or people who worked against you to say things about you in the media. The mass media will be weaponized at the last moment. It's what's the most important thing when you're confronting a demon is not to believe a word it says. The demons are always liars, as that guy at the beginning of the video was talking about with the New York Times. It will lie. It will taunt, it will gloat, it will just like we got a taste of what's coming at the Enoch Burke's taunting and gloating at the Pride Parade in Mayo. They will sink to any level, and they will lie and they will taunt and they will project power they don't have. Remember, the only thing that gives woke and pride its power is taxpayers' money being ploughed into it by politicians and civil servants. If you're running for election as a nationalist party, or a nationalist, or on the side of righteousness against the globalists, the important thing is if they do attack you, continue on. Don't respond publicly, because that's what they want. If you respond publicly to try and like with like, they'll take every little word you say and use it against you. So just ignore them and get your revenge at the ballot box. So that's, demons are real. They're extremely real. There's some kind of non-human consciousness that on the whole has a hatred of us. This is universal. This is universally a universality that that you always hear, that they hate humans. They want to trick them. They want to fool them, and they want to gloat and damage them when they put them down. Normal people don't gloat. If you've had a problem with someone, then you perceive you've won. A normal person doesn't gloat wildly. A distorted person will. A normal person would go, oh, well, fuck him, I'm glad. And they leave it at that. Oh, well, not whatever, that's it, and be glad, screw him, and get on with their lives. And no, a demonically possessed individual gloats. Now, what's very important about the gloating is let them gloat and say nothing. So we saw that, and that'll make all in Mayo right now. There are tens of thousands of people who saw that taunting of the Enoch Burke's family, who would have never had a problem with pride before, now have a huge problem with pride. Let them gloat, let them taunt, and then step back. When you step back, they behave appallingly. Decent people see this behavior and recognize it for what it is. They gloat, they taunt, they dance on the grave. They think they're dancing on a grave. Let them do it, lay low, and you win. The demon is always a liar. The demon is always a deceiver. Do not indulge. Okay? I'm going to be making a lot more vlogs from now on because I have a lot more time now. So get lots of fig rolls and cups and tea bags ready for the next episode tomorrow. Okay? Take care. Sanguise Gnosis. I love all you bastards. I really do love all you bastards. I really